inside of you, there are three different selves. There's the surviving self that is always driven by worry, doubt, and fear. What's wrong? Againstness, always ready for a fight. There's the thriving self. The thriving self is always moving towards the new possibility, always being drawn to something greater than itself, using life as an opportunity to grow, to be curious, to be enthusiastic, and to have a sense of hope and possibility. And the infinite self, the quiet, compelling self that had the ability to wrap its arms around the argumentative self, that's the God self in us. And this self is ancient. This self has answers that we need, and this self is vigilant. And its stillness, its ancient nature can help us through anything that we encounter in life. For inner fitness, you should have pen and paper or a journal. When I ask you to write things down or to repeat after me, I ask that you actually do that. Don't just, think that you can do it in your mind. Actually putting the effort behind saying what I ask you to say or writing what I ask you to write. It helps with memory. It helps to align the subconscious with the conscious, and it helps you to know where you're going and stay on track. Happiness doesn't come from events being the way you want them to be. Happiness comes from you being who you want to be and then applying who you are in your circumstance. Happiness that is dependent upon, how you're feeling in the moment is not happiness. It's moodiness. Inner fitness is about making your relationship with yourself, that's with a capital S, your relationship with yourself, the richest, most reliable, and fulfilling relationship you have, so that all of the other relationships become icing on your beautiful, delicious, smack your mama and your lips life. Life takes constant maintenance. We don't want to have to make the bed up and do the dishes, but it requires constant maintenance. And because the surviving self has a negativity bias, it is really easy for the surviving self to latch on to the problems, the hurts, the dramas, traumas, upsets, and disappointments, and latch on in a way that truly does block your ability to access your thriving self. And so I want you to just be aware more and more and more of when you're in that surviving self, when you're in that thriving self, and the presence of that infinite self. The surviving self is not interested in your dreams. It does not care at all about your dreams. It cares about the things that have frightened you, the things that have made you feel at risk, and the things that can be dangerous. And so that's what it puts its attention on. And so if you want your life to be about more than just managing what's wrong, you're going to have to pour energy into the thriving and infinite self, because they have the power to interrupt that automatic nature of the surviving self. I'm going to ask you to do something that I do at my workshops often. I'm going to ask you to think about something about yourself that you never share for fear of losing credibility, acceptance, or respect. I want you to think about that thing, bring it to mind, and then using the prompt, if I let myself tell the truth, my something is, and write it down. You're not going to have to share this with anyone, But it's important that you identify what that thing is and write it down. You know what it is, so you can start writing right this moment. It's with you all the time. It harasses you. It's always in the back of your mind to some degree. So make it plain and clear. Write it down. What is something about yourself that you never share for fear of losing credibility, acceptance, or respect? And if you have shared it, you've only shared it with a person or two. So, why am I having you write down something that is such a challenge and creates such pain? I'm having you write it down because your relationship to it is a lie. And it's time to interrupt that lie and make room for a new possibility, right? Here are a couple of things that you need to know about the thing that you just wrote down on your piece of paper. Number one is that millions of people have the same experience. You are not alone. Millions of people have written down exact or thought or feel harassed by the exact same thing that you just wrote down. Which means that your experience, though it was a personal experience, it is a byproduct of being human on this planet. There is confusion in others and in ourselves that let these kinds of things be the case. But the more you come to know yourself, the more you will be able to see whatever this is as an experience and not define yourself by it. It's something that happened. It is not who you are. It's simply an idea, a misinterpretation of whatever event there is. And that misinterpretation keeps lying to us about who we are. And it's time that we interrupt that lie. Interrupt that lie. The other reason that I asked you to write it down is the more you know it and see it, the less it can control you. The more you own that this was an experience, the less it can dictate to you who you are. I've got 2 stacks of cards, this many, of people having written down their thing. And I'm sure that your thing is in the 2 stacks of cards that I have. I'm just going to take 5 off the top and read them really quickly. I had an abortion when I was in college. Self-worth. Why am I a part of this universe? Resentment. What is blocking me? That my life obligations don't allow me to self-actualize. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. That I was raped in the 8th grade. Anxiety. I feel anxious all the time. I'm not smart enough. I'm not competent enough. I'm scared. The thing that they are so certain is, the reason that they are challenged or not good enough, so that we can all begin to have more open dialogue around the truth. The truth is something happened. We misinterpreted what happened. And now, as we build our thriving self, we can change our interpretation from a child's interpretation to an adult, mature, whole being's interpretation. If this issue were not present, how much would your life be different? In fact, I want you to take a moment, and I'm going to give you 20 seconds, 30 seconds to write down how your life would be different if this issue were not present. If you didn't think about yourself the way you're thinking about yourself, how would your life be different? You have 30 to 40 seconds. What would you do that's different? How would you feel about yourself? What goals would you have? Who would you be hanging out with? What new things would you be daring? Okay. I told you that there is an importance to saying and writing things down. I'll tell you that I happened upon the power of asking one question over and over and over again in my journal years ago when I was really distraught and I wanted so badly to be an actress and I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how to get to where I wanted to be. And every time I saw a movie that represented what I wanted to be doing with my life, I was in pain and yearning because I did not know how to get there. And one day after watching a movie, The Big Chill, I was just in tears, and I'm not a crier. And I wanted so much, and I knew so little about how to get what I wanted, that I just started writing. And for 6 pages, I wrote this one question: how do I become a respected, sought after working actress? How do I become a respected, sought after working actress? How do I become a respected, sought after working actress? And that taught me that the yearning is important. And when you yearn with that sense of possibility, literally the entire universe, God that is always listening, conspires to support our journey. And I have taken writing, finding that question that best states what my desire is and writing it over and over and over. So when you write it down, it becomes a magnet. When you write your goals down, when you write your dreams down, that's the first time that your goal or your idea of yourself or your intention actually has concrete form. And it becomes like a magnet to the universe or in the universe. And then you begin to attract the people, the circumstances, the aha moments that help you move towards that thing that you want. So I invite you to write down this, what I call effective and empowering question. And we have a whole workshop that we do on building effective and empowering questions. You're going to write 7 times, how can I access my thriving self more? And put that question mark, right? All right, I gave you 7 times, but I recommend 100, okay? If you want to live an empowered life, then crew up. And what crew up means is redefine yourself. Come up with, embody a definition of yourself that is bigger than your current lie. The way in which you are seeing yourself, the distortions, the misinterpretations, the miscommunication with yourself. Those are lies. Everybody, repeat after me. Up until now, I have, and say your thing out loud. Up until now, I have. What's that old way of being with yourself that you're tired of? Say it again. Up until now, I have, fill in that blank, and now repeat after me. But from this point forward, I can change. I can crew up. I can develop my inner fitness. The way in which you begin to do better and be better is to treat yourself better. To recognize that there is an SELF, a capital SELF inside of you. You have become conditioned to give energy to your physical being. You pay attention to diet and exercise all the time, whether you engage in the principles the way you want or not. You are aware of the importance of diet and exercise. It is time to be aware that the capital self inside of you is important. And in order for you to be your iteration of yourself, you must give it more time and attention. Your inner fitness is your responsibility. And if in fact you aren't, if your thriving self will help you develop a way of being in yourself that makes you very, very particular about what you give your time and attention to. That's your responsibility. My greatest desire for each and every one of you is that you take ownership of yourself, that you discover who you are to a degree that you can say no to the lies.
Come thrive at Phoenix Rising, February 2024.
Inner Fitness community, I invite you to stay, join, and learn to turn wellness concepts into action. Living life well takes practice, y'all. So simply click the subscribe button to practice together, grow this conversation, and change the world. I can't wait to read your comments and hear how your life changes for the better. Thank you for subscribing. Let's thrive.